Congresswoman Omar, the last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How did you make some big mistake on it?
Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything.
I am?
Yes.
Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big
I have
mistake?
explained to the American people.
What's the explanation?
I have given them the explanation.
Do you want to tell our viewers? Because
I don't want to tell you jack shit.
Oh.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
We got to talk about these new allegations against Ilhan Omar. So another chapter in the Minnesota Democrat machine's habit of steering your tax dollars to questionable outfits while the state drowns in fraud scandals. This one involves over $1 million in federal DOJ funds she pushed for a so-called substance abuse clinic targeting the East African community in Minneapolis, the Somalis. So it turns out the address that she was saying was supposed to be a substance abuse clinic was actually a small Somali-owned restaurant with operators sharing residential addresses on IRS paperwork.
Spending bills making its way through Congress was a $1 million earmark from Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, which was an earmark that was supposedly going to a substance abuse clinic, which actually happened to be housed in a restaurant and run by 3 individuals that share the same residential address, according to their IRS paperwork. Tons of red flags. So this is what we saw with the fraud involving the daycare centers. Now we see other earmarks coming directly from members of Congress where it seems fraud is being perpetrated as well. So I raised the issue, and fortunately, the House has now stripped that earmark out of that spending bill. But again, this is how easy money has been flowing to bad actors in Minnesota.
Wow. This woman should be brought onto the House floor and derobed in front of everyone for humiliation and embarrassment. This is so wrong. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
So, not surprising. I think Nick Shirley was talking maybe about this or another scam that she was involved in. But look, it is Ilhan Omar stealing and rerouting money. But the earmark system is basically another word for slush fund, like we were talking about the other day. It is. Again, I know we might sound repetitive here, but it's the system. These earmarks, I would say many, if not all congressmen, find some way to carve out these earmarks for them to go back to whatever little pet project they have in their own district. And for whatever reason, they're largely unmonitored, unregulated, if you will. It's kind of like a little bit of side pocket money. You know, you put that money under your mattress. Okay. That's what it is.
You are right. You are correct. That is, we all understand what an earmark is.
It is mostly waste. It's mostly waste, fraud, and abuse.
I understand that. Earmarks go this, like you mentioned, they're generally pet projects for these senators or for these Congress people. This is different. It's not a project. It's fake. Okay.
You're missing my point.
No clear. What?
You're missing my point. It doesn't matter what the quote unquote project is.
I agree. She is
committing fraud. She is committing fraud.
Now, maybe correct me, but earmarks are part of the system. Is that right?
That's what I'm saying. This whole process, the whole system.
I don't agree with it either. But this is different because it's fraud. There's no clear evidence of a full-scale medical treatment facility with licensed counselors. So it's not just a pet project. It's a pet project that is it's not even real.
No, I agree with you. You're not understanding what I'm saying. We don't disagree. We do not disagree. She should be under, like you say, under the jail. We don't disagree there. My point is that earmarks, the system is ripe for fraud, waste, and abuse. It happens all the time. I'm not excusing her. It happens all the time. It's another mechanism for our money, slush funds, earmarks, pet projects to be frauded, wasted, and abused. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Listen, it's a perk of being in Congress, right?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
This whole thing, this pork, as we call it,
Pork,
right?
right. Yes.
It's like a barbecue. So at the beginning of every session, they sit down and it comes out on a gigantic spreadsheet. We talked about it when it first happened, right? Comes out on a big spreadsheet. How much money do you want to give to your particular district's pet projects? Okay. So when you decide, I'm a Somali person, and I know these 3 dudes who own this small family restaurant, and there's a domicile above it. And, maybe a couple other dudes can pretend like they're a substance abuse place, and we can slide them almost $1.5 million, and I will get campaign donations back from these people. And it's putting more money in this Somali community that she's desperate to support. Usually there's not that much scrutiny of the pork. It usually is just, as long as it's below a certain number and it sounds good, nobody's doing a deep dive on it. But this just shows you the level of audacity of her.
Right.
Knowing doggone well that they were already under tremendous scrutiny, knowing doggone well that she's a hair away from being called to the floor for censure. She's like, let me just go ahead and put my people on this pork list, because she really does think that the Democrats will protect her. Yeah. She really does think that. She thinks she's way too valuable for them to throw her away. The truth of the matter is, they just threw away Eric Swalwell earlier this week, a couple days ago. He was Nancy Pelosi's right-hand boy. That's how he stayed in power. This is how he got a chance to molest and allegedly, grope and do weird things to even funkier people with impunity, because he was Nancy Pelosi's right-hand boy. He was the heir apparent. He's the one that was doing Russiagate, Russia. He went after everything Nancy told him to do. He was the attack dog. So she assumes, being a member of the squad, that they would have her back. Let me tell you, we're over it. The whole system is trash. They should throw it away.
Yeah,
they should throw it away.
She's under investigation. Ayanna Presley is under investigation. All of them are under investigation right now. Now, let me ask you this, Nicole, because back in the day when I was a poli-sci major, we were under the way these earmarks worked. Yes, it is pork and it's not a good thing, but it used to be a negotiation tool between Congress people. So it was just like, so when you had like a bill that somebody wanted to pass or something, it used to be a way to say, well, you know what, if you want this passed, you need to do this for me, and then I'll do this for you. And it was kind of, it worked that way. This is how the system worked. Now, yes, it was pork and things, and it wasn't fraud. These things were not fraudulent. There used to be issues. It used to be, hey, I got this town in my area, and and maybe let's talk like Fells Point. There's a business there that has been there since for 30, 40 years, and they're a big proponent of me, and so I need this. They want this road put in to get to somewhere. I don't know. And you do this for me, then I'll do this for you, and then they got stuff passed. But like now, it seems like nothing's getting passed.
Well,
there's no compromise.
They streamlined that, and they still do trade votes back and forth. That's one of the things that the Speaker of the House does. He negotiates with the minority leader to try to come to bring more people to the table for the good of the American people. But the way that this pork system works now is quite literally, you submit the pork that you want. And usually it's not all bad. It may be a swimming pool in a community that used to have a swimming pool, and something happened to the pool.
That's what I remember it used to be.
It could be a little bit of anything. And generally speaking, if you're a congressperson and you're representing a district that has a stronghold of opioid crisis and a high rate of people, getting clean and then falling back into the trap, having a substance abuse center is a good look. It really is. But when your whole entire state is under scrutiny for billions of dollars of fraud, you would want to make sure that if you're suggesting a substance abuse center, that one, that it is fine enough to be a healthcare facility. Two, that the people who are running it are professionals. You would want to cross every T and dot every I. She doesn't do that. She doesn't feel like she has to.
So Nicole, you said something when you were saying that when you were first talking, you said it was a perk. So and this is what came to my mind, and humor me, because this is my small L libertarianism coming out. So a perk of Congress is that basically they get to use our money for their own little pet projects. And number two, I know Ilhan Omar is committing fraud, allegedly committing fraud, but we also forget the rest of that statement. It's usually fraud, waste, and abuse, which is what the pork and the earmarks for the most part promote. Not just fraud, but the waste and abuse, which is also against the federal statute and deserves its own rightful investigation. This is what I'm saying. That's why I said we don't disagree with the fraud part, but I'm saying the overarching idea is that it's fraud, waste, and abuse. One, two, or all three of those categories that the earmarks, the slush funds can all fall into. And again, they're using the perks of their office at our expense.
Well, what they'll argue, their argument always is that these things are specific to their communities, things that they may have promised on the campaign trail, for example, parks and places where it's like concrete jungle, right? So, if you live in a place where it's just building after building and concrete after concrete, building a small park for children to touch green grass and be outside and be away from the traffic, it's pork. If you already live in a place with a bunch of grass, you look at it from my perspective, the hell, move. You want grass, move to a place that has grass. Why should my taxpayer dollars support, your lack of grass in your neighborhood? Well, because eventually I may want sidewalks. I live in a place where we don't have sidewalks. There are no sidewalks. We don't even have a shoulder of the road. There's no line. It's just road. And I like it. But people who are used to sidewalks have an issue. Where do the children walk? Well, the children walk on the road. Children don't get hit by the cars. No, we generally go around the children. We're not aiming for them. We drive at a much slower pace in our neighborhood because there is no sidewalk. There is no shoulder. There's no side of the road. It's just road. So I get where they're coming from. They want to bring something home to their people so that they have something to show for them going to Congress. Is it horrible? Absolutely. Because when it used to be a little bit of money, now we're talking about millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And everybody generally votes yes because they want people to vote yes for their pet project. This is where the fraud, waste, and abuse comes in. Because who looked to see this address over top of a small restaurant? How are you going to use that for substance abuse?
Right. Yeah.
How does that work?
That's what it was. It's a grift. It was a grift. That's what it was. She's a liar. She's a thief. And hopefully they do some investigation. This is what I'm upset about. All of these investigations. I don't see anybody getting locked up. I don't see anything happening. I'm hoping that something comes of this. I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for the arrest. I'm hoping for indictments. I'm hoping for the SAVE Act to pass. We don't even talk about that anymore. The SAVE Act. What is it? Stuck in some Senate committee?
Scott Presler was here today. He's in DC now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's squeezing.
Now it's the dignity. What is it? The dignidad. Not even the dignity. We got to get a Spanish for dignidad.
Oh, well, that you saw today. They passed, along with Republicans, voted to keep the Haitians here.
Yeah, that's what we talk about, the Dignity Act. Republicans and Democrats.
I think this was another act. This was Ayanna Pressley pushed forward this bill to keep the Haitians from being deported, and Republicans joined in, and they're still going to be here. They're not going to be deported.
Well, two sides of the same coin.
It's just a matter of time because they can say that we don't want to deport Haitians because Haiti is still a country that's warring with itself, gangs and all of that kind of thing. But ultimately, immigration, this kind of law is going to end up at the Supreme Court. It's going to end up at the Supremes because temporary protected status means exactly that, temporary. So the argument then becomes, how long is temporary? Because we've been living in here more than 20 years.
In the meantime, while it makes its way up to the Supreme Court, in the meantime, we have to endure our money, our hospital system, our education system. God forbid, more people being murdered. Americans. We got to endure all that. Again, where's the return on investment for us? Not just financially, but we endure all the damn costs along the way, and then we're told that we are xenophobic or racist and whatever the case. But we keep enduring the damn costs. Where are the benefits for us?
Do you know what's interesting, Shelley?
I'm
sorry. You know what's interesting about that, Shelley, is that you're absolutely right. Because you remember when Trump allowed, I think it was like 150, almost 150 white South Afrikaners to come here to the United States, and the Democrats almost set themselves on fire on the floor of the House. For temporary protected status, he allowed them to come. Well, you know what the difference was? They're white. And they're not going to vote Democrat. They're going to vote conservative. They're conservative people. If these Haitians voted conservative, they would push them on a boat if they had to back to Haiti. This is not about, compassion. This is about votes. This is about power. This is precisely what this is about.
Honestly, to me, it's about what are they doing when they get here? We see video after video. Now, I don't have the data about this, but we see video after video. My Lord, it was just a Haitian who killed some girl in Georgia, was it? Stabbed. He went on some spree, stabbed this one, shot another one. We hear about all these Haitians doing all this stuff. So it's just like, why do we want to continue to keep them here?
Well, we have one in Congress who allegedly stole $5 million of FEMA money, of COVID funds.
That's what I'm talking about. To me, it's just like, I don't care what skin color you are. Are you here and you are helping progress the country? Is my point, is my issue. And again, I don't see it. Help, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not looking at it as skin color. I'm looking at the videos and the news reports that I see of these people killing, slicing, eating the squirrels, eating the dogs, eating the cats. And I know they eat squirrels. Now, I don't know about the dogs and the cats. I know they eat squirrels. So don't give me this in the chat about, they don't eat dogs and cats. They eat squirrels. And I know.
When you're hungry, you'll eat anything you can find. Let's do that.